Good day, gentlemen. James Marshall here. Now, on my most recent infield workshop, a client asked me the question, what's better to do for a first date? Should I take the girl out for a simple coffee in the daytime, or should I take her out for a couple of drinks at night? And he also said, I guess it's more likely that she's going to come home with me at nighttime because, that's part of the deal of going out for a date at night. But maybe in the daytime, she's going to feel more comfortable to meet a stranger. So today we will answer the question, to coffee or to cocktail, which one is better? Now, there's a couple of factors to take into account when choosing the type of date that you ask a woman out on, but the most important question to factor in is what is the thing that is going to allow you to meet her again as soon as possible? The reality being, if you're meeting a woman in cold approach, maybe you spent 5-10 minutes having a chat with her and she's interested in you, let's say, hopefully, she's given you her contact details and she means it. The problem is that if I wait 2, 3, 4, 5 days to see her, most likely she won't even remember my face. If she's a sociable young lady and she's going out to parties or events or whatever, she's going to be meeting other men soon. Today, tomorrow, by the end of the week, there's going to be other guys that are jostling for her attention. So the most important thing is see her again as soon as possible. So if you met her in the afternoon, the thing that you want to be trying to do is see her again tonight. Right? So you want to actually set this up as best you can during the interaction. You're finishing up the interaction, you say to her, hey, listen, it's been awesome chatting to you. You're super cool. You've got a great vibe. I like you. I'd like to take you out tonight. Right? So she says, I'm busy tonight because I'm studying or I've got plans with the girls. Then you say, okay, no worries. How about we grab a quick coffee tomorrow? That's going to be better than trying to figure out, okay, in 3 days from now, I know that there's this great cocktail lounge and I want to take her out to this specific thing, or there's this coffee shop that I want to go and see that I've heard is amazing and we're going to go and see that in 2 days. Within 24 to 48 hours is the ideal amount of time that you want to elapse before you see the woman again. Get it moving fast. So that will be the thing that you factor in first. Next, as my client correctly suggested, meeting in the daytime in a public space is a more low pressure and low investment type of meetup. For a girl that, let's say you had an interaction and you see that she's quite nervous about this, maybe she gave you a maybe. She's like, oh, maybe I'd like to see you again, or we'll see, or I'll give you my contacts, and she wasn't solid on the close, then yeah, probably I'm going to go for the low pressure daytime event date because it feels and is safer for her. She doesn't have to commit to going out at night and figuring out how she's going to get home, with public transport or after dark. And so giving her the option of like, hey, let's just grab a quick coffee tomorrow and get to know each other is going to be useful. Also, especially if you've only had a really short interaction. Maybe she was standing at a bus stop, for example, you talked to her for 1 minute and then she had to go, or she had to go for some other reason. So you haven't had a lot of time to build any rapport and build trust. So in that instance, I might say something like, listen, I know this is totally crazy. We just met. I know you have to get on this next bus, but you've got a great vibe. I'd love to see you again. Let's exchange contacts. Maybe we can grab a coffee and get to know each other. Right? So it's basically a continuation of the approach. We didn't get time to finish it now. Let's finish it again, tomorrow. Another thing to keep in mind is what day of the week is it? Let's say you met the girl on a Friday afternoon. Now, as per the James Marshall rule, I should be asking her to go out tonight, but women have got stuff to do on Friday and Saturday nights. A nighttime date monopolizes both of your time for the evening, basically, right? Sure, there might be an instance where you could say, let's say she says, oh, I'm going out partying tonight. Say, what time are you heading out? I'm meeting the girls at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. We're going to go and hit the clubs or whatever. Sure, you could say, all right, why don't we grab a drink before? But then that means that it's very unlikely that you're going to get to go home with her because she's got other things to do. So a woman who's got options, it's unlikely that she's going to accept a date for a Friday or a Saturday night unless she's really into the guy and she's willing to, can all her plans for him. So if it's towards the end of the week, in that case, then I'd be going for the Saturday afternoon or the Sunday afternoon. And it would be important to find out. So are you heading out tonight? You're partying? She says, yeah, I'm going to go out with one of my girlfriends has got a birthday tonight. So don't try and arrange a coffee date for 10 or 11 a.m. because she might be going out late and you don't want to get her hungover and she's more likely to flake. So factor that into your close. All right, well, in that case, I guess you ladies will be probably out late tonight. why don't we meet up when you've had a nice sleep in? We can go for an afternoon coffee or tea or a walk, something like that tomorrow when you've got some time and you've recovered. All right, so being able to figure out within the interaction what is the basic logistics of the next few days for the woman, so that we can try and slot in some time. Again, the most important thing is that you see her again soon, get proper one-on-one FaceTime with her, because as we all know, the most likely point where you're going to lose the woman, where she's going to flake, is between the first meet and the first date. If you have good first date game, then let's say very likely you're going to be able to see her again, but most of the time the flakes happen from the approach until the first meet. So get it happening fast, work around her schedule to make it easy for her to meet you. Can you get laid in a daytime date? Well, before we get into that, most importantly, how do you meet women in the first place and how do you get them on dates? It's not by doing this. The apps don't work. There should be like a blues song about the apps don't work, they just make it worse. They suck. Still, the best and timeless way to get women on dates is to bowl up to them on the street, in cafes, in parks, in real life, and shoot your shot. So if you'd like to learn the fine art and science of natural style seduction, I will be running my next in-field workshop in Budapest, Hungary from the 27th until the 30th of June. Whoops, I meant to say 20th until the 23rd of June. Midsummer, the city is pumping, packed with hot locals and tourists. There is only 2 spots left on this workshop. You'll be working with myself, with Shay Matthews and the rest of the TNL crew. So if you'd like to find out details about that, click the link in the description. You can get on a free call with one of my coaches, discuss all of your situation, what it is that you want to work on, and see if we can help you. So there's this idea that you can't get laid from a daytime date. It's like, when do people have sex? After they've gone on a real date. A real date is when you meet after dark and you go and you have dinner or you have drinks, or you go and see a show, or you do something in the evening and there has to be alcohol involved. That's me like pouring 8 shots of something into a bucket. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. This is not true. I mean, it usually doesn't happen, but only because people don't try it. It's just not something that exists in most men's realities, and often in women's realities, so it doesn't happen. But I can tell you from personal experience, from all of the collaborators and players that I've hung out with and with students that I've taught this to, daytime lays are a thing, and they can actually in some cases be way easier than trying to do it at night. So if we want to look at what's the most, kind of time efficient way to get laid, the old idea would be that you go out at night and you try and pick up a girl in a club. I can tell you that is not the fastest way at all to get laid. Back in the day when I did that, I don't do that anymore, I'm too old for that. But back in the day when I did that, I would go out at 10, 11 p.m. and I'd be out till 2, 3 in the morning. And sometimes I'd pick up a girl and take her home, and other times I wouldn't. But there would be a sunk cost of about 4 or 5 hours, because if you meet the girl at 11 p.m., she'd just arrived with the girls, very unlikely she's going to leave the venue with you then. It's going to be later on. And then often women tend to suddenly vanish at around the 2 p.m. They go to an after party, or they go see their booty call, or they go home. And then you're left with the dregs at 3 and 4 in the morning. And then you're fucked the next day. So the time sink is actually huge, the energy sink. And especially if you're a guy that's not a professional party dude, that's got stuff to do on a Saturday morning, or wants to, not ruin their weekend, it's not actually that efficient. The most efficient way is to go and meet a girl in real life, day game, spend 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes talking to her, ask her out for one of these either coffee or cocktail dates, spend about an hour, no more, right? You don't want to go on a date that's going to last hours, unless the extra hours are bedtime hours. In bed with the girl, that is. Which is one of the reasons why I would suggest not bringing food into it. It's all about the beverages, whether they are caffeinated, whether they are alcoholic. Don't take girls out for lunch. Don't take girls out for dinners, because then you have to sit opposite each other, watching each other eat. It takes quite a long time. It's formal. It's written into the kind of like, this is what a formal date looks like, which then means she's much more likely to fit into the, okay, I'm on a date, so I have rules about that, which means that, okay, we'll eat, we'll talk, and then maybe we'll kiss at the end of it. But I'm not the type of girl that goes home with a guy after the first date. So if we make it a much more informal thing, then it doesn't necessarily register as a date. It's meeting up with a guy, which is one reason why the daytime date, having the coffee or the juice, I'm not fixated on, or the tea, right, or whatever it is, can be actually sometimes more likely to end up with you having a hookup, because it's outside the rules of the game. One of the most standard things that I used to do and still do from time to time, is when I'm in Budapest, there's a coffee shop that's about 50 meters from my place. So I always, if it's a daytime date, ask the girl to meet me at the church, which is right next to, just to put a bit of religion into it. There's a church next to the coffee shop. It's a landmark. Don't worry, you don't have to get her to go to a religious building. We meet there, we go in, and usually what I do is we get a takeaway. Rather than sitting down at the coffee shop, it's busy, it's noisy. If depending on how crowded it is, I won't be able to manage the seating as best that I would like, which is to be sitting next to each other, not opposite each other. So I like to just grab a takeaway, take her for a little walk. There's a park that's around the corner from that. Go and sit on the bench in the park, have a chat there, put a hand on the leg, give her a little bit of the old sex eyes. At some point, after half an hour or 40 minutes, to say, hey, let's walk a little, walk her past my house, which is all in this one loop, and then say, hey, this is my place. Do you want to come upstairs and chill for a bit? Or do you want to come and have another cup of tea? Or it's hot, let's grab a glass of water. Before you go home, I might add. So it's not like in the evening where at the end of the cocktail date, she has to decide if I say, hey, let's go, or let's get out of here, or do you want to come with me? She knows that this is a bigger decision, that this is like, okay, we had a nighttime date and now I'm deciding to leave the venue with him and go home with him. Therefore, I need to decide now if I'm going to have sex with him. You don't really want the woman to be logically trying to decide, should I sleep with this guy or not, when you're nowhere near the place where you're going to have sex with each other. You want that decision to be made in the moment, basically when you're fumbling on the couch and she's like horny and she thinks, yes, fuck it, I want to do this. Now, let's not be too coy about this. A lot of women will have decided fairly early in a date that, yeah, if this guy, he's like, I like him, and she's not thinking if he pulls the trigger, but she's willing to be led. So very often a woman just does want to come home with you. So don't presume that you're battling against resistance, although of course, different women with different guys are going to have different responses, and she may decide, okay, I met with him for half an hour, I liked him, that'll do for now. Or she may have decided like, yeah, this is good, I'd like this to continue. So it's your job to just lead it to the point where she puts up resistance, and then, we can either negotiate that a little bit or let her go. So the daytime extraction can be way easier because it's exciting, it's taboo, it's breaking the rules, and she's not expecting it. It's just on the way home, right? It's 2 p.m. in the afternoon. We had a coffee, she can leave anytime she wants and get on the metro and head home. And no one knows about it, right? It's not like I was going out on a hot date and I told my girlfriends about it. I just met a guy for coffee, and then we went by his house, and then he said, come up, and we went upstairs, and then escalate as per usual. Doesn't matter whether the sun is up or the sun is down. People will have sex when they feel like it. So then you can make your move, or you can just have a little bit of FaceTime in the apartment, right? Getting a girl to come upstairs with you, have a glass of water, sit and chat for a bit, maybe make out, and then she decides she wants to leave. Cool. She's seen your apartment. She has built trust with you now. She knows that going into a private building with you is safe, and that's a really important factor for a woman. So don't be attached to the idea that we must get laid on the first date, otherwise I'm not going to see the girl again. I had a student recently say that. He said, it was a follow-up call, and I said, how's it going? I'm getting lots of first dates, but they're not, the ones that don't come home with me, I never see them again because I'm looking for efficiency of having sex. And I said, I don't think that's the best idea, because you have to put a lot of front-end effort into meeting the women in the first place. You have to do X number of approaches, go through the texting, get X number of flakes in order to get a woman on a date. Let's have a little bit of empathy. Not many women just won't have sex with a guy the first time they meet him, understandably. Like, she's known you for cumulatively an hour, and to decide to let you into her body is a big deal. So just because she didn't want to fuck you within the first hour of knowing you, it doesn't mean that she won't the next time. And very often women will, if they felt comfortable, they've enjoyed spending time with you for that first night, first day, whatever it was, then yes, they will sleep with you the second time. So don't be so militant about it that it's first day fucks or out the door. For me personally, it's after 3 dates. Unless I'm really invested in the girl and I've got other things on the side, so I'm not in any way needy. After 3 dates, okay, then I probably won't see the woman again, but give her a couple of dates. Come on, let's give her a little bit of time. Now, the type of venue definitely does matter. As I've said before, I generally prefer to get a takeaway coffee, tea, whatever, and go for a little walk, if that's relevant to the area that you live in. I know, in some places you've only got strip malls or places where there is no park nearby, and you need to work on, okay, what's logistically most viable, what's closest to your place that you can get her back to relatively easily. But please don't take women to Starbucks. It's just tacky, right? You don't want to have a chain store date. Find the good hipster owner-operated coffee place that is logistically useful, a place that's cozy, that has outdoor seating if it's spring or summertime, has booths. It doesn't have to be fancy or extremely expensive. Just something that just has a little bit of individuality to it, a little bit of uniqueness, because that ties in with female fantasies. Like, girl says to her girlfriends, oh yeah, I went on this date with this guy, we went and grabbed a coffee, and it was at Starbucks or McDonald's or something like that. This is really not conducive to her fantasy world. So I know this great little coffee place, it's around the corner, it's in a little square somewhere. Take her to that, please. It's going to make a difference. Should you pay? Yes, right? Like, one of the reasons that I don't recommend taking girls out to dinners or lunches is that, okay, there's more money involved, and then it's not about being stingy or not, it's just that as we introduce more resources into the date, then there becomes questions on either side. Like, if he's buying me an expensive dinner, does he think that means that he's deserves something? Is he trying to impress me with his money? This is not good. Or on the other side, this girl is like, yeah, I want to be wined and dined, and I'm using this guy, to get a free meal or whatever. When it's just down to a cup of something or 2 cups of something, then it takes money more or less out of the equation, or more out of the equation. And I would say in general, yes, better to just go over and say, oh, yeah, what can I get for you? Pay for the fucking coffee. It's not worth losing sex with a great girl over €2.50 or $4.50 or whatever it costs wherever you are, or $9 in Australia, whatever it is now. So I would suggest, but if she makes overtures where she says, oh, she wanted to pay or she wants to split it, then just let her. You don't want to be arguing over the bill. So in general, I just offer to pay, or I just pay quietly. I just go over and swipe my card and don't make any kind of big deal out of it. Like, for any time you're paying for anything with a woman, if you're like, yeah, I'm a bit baller here, I'm the guy that's doing the paying over here, that's not in any way attractive. So just make it something that's seamless, and I think it's better if you pay. If you go for the evening date, keeping in mind, once again, is it more like does she seem to be comfortable with meeting you again? Did you have enough time in the initial interaction where she had time to feel comfortable with you? And is it logistically viable because it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Sunday? Okay, those are days that, sure, meet in the evenings. Probably Friday or Saturday is not going to work. There, of course, can be exceptions. She's a backpacker. She's just arrived in town. She doesn't know anybody. She's not going out this weekend. She doesn't go out in general. So yeah, I'm not saying these are strict rules, but we just want to be aware of the logistics of it. So same thing, if we're choosing a location for an evening drink, we don't want it to be a big, loud sports bar, right? Or a raucous pub in England. This is not good. If there's lads around, if there's sport playing, if there's people screaming, shouting, like, same, I wouldn't take her out to a pounding nightclub. You want to go to a cozy cocktail lounge or like quiet bar. Now, it could be a quiet dive bar, it could be a quiet hipster place. It depends on what type of person you are and what's the demographic of woman that you're dealing with. So it's not that you want to necessarily go to the fanciest, most expensive Sky Bar in the city, no, but a place again where it's conducive to seduction, which is dimly lit, not too loud, so you don't have to scream in each other's ears, and has seating arrangements where you can sit next to each other. So curved seats, booths, those are ideal. You don't want anything where it's square tables with chairs opposite each other, because you can't touch each other. It looks like an interview. It's just the worst scenario to be in to have a date. Now, like, you might be a salsa dude and you like salsa dancing and she does too, and you add dancing into that, or it might be a live music venue or something like that. Okay, there's lots of variations that you can play with depending on what you're into and what kind of girl she is. But look, as a guy who's experimented with so many different types of venues, and originally looking at ones where like there's something exciting going on tonight, there's an open mic night, there's a jazz band playing, there's a festival or something, and I did all that and had lots of fun nights with girls, but I was looking at what is most efficient. And so eventually I came to whatever city I was in, Melbourne originally, later on Budapest or wherever I was traveling. I would just scout around and find, this is the closest cozy cocktail bar that's near to my apartment, and that's where I go for every nighttime date. because it just worked. I'd meet her there, we'd sit next to each other. I would have a maximum of 2 drinks. I'll tell you why in a moment. And then I would say, hey, let's take a walk, or do you want to get out of here? Depending, or sometimes if there was the look, right? You know, I'm giving her the sex eyes and she's giving them to me there, and makes so neither of us can talk anymore. Then I would just say, let's get out of here with that look. If it was more like, okay, there's a vibe here, but it's not too sexual yet, then I would say, hey, let's go and take a walk, or do you want to come chill at my place for a bit? And then if she said no, look, I should really head home, or basically gave a soft no on that, then I might follow up by saying, well, we can just chill for a little bit. I'll make sure that you get home safe, or I'll make sure you get home anytime you need to, because that's often the concern is, well, how am I going to get out of here if I decide I don't want to spend the night or I want to leave? So letting a girl know, I'll get you an Uber later, I'll make sure you get home safe, and then following up on it, please. Often that can alleviate the concern. And that little line there of like, let's chill at my place for a bit before you go home. I know I've said this before, I know you have to get up for work tomorrow, or I have to, as if I don't get up for work. I get up late, but sometimes I pretend I have to get up for work. Doing very busy things in the office. So I say, hey, look, I know you've got work tomorrow, but let's chill at my place for a bit, and we'll send you home whenever you need to. All right, so that's usually the best way to extract. Or there's that sense of it's on, and I just say, hey, let's get out of here, or I'll get the check, shall we go? You need to take the lead on this. Right? So many dates which could have ended in hot sex around the world throughout time and space have not happened because the guy stays in for as long as he can in this one location because he thinks more time equals more sex later. Not true. Until the point where she's like, oh, I better go, or we get up and pay and we walk out, and then no one's making a decisive action, so the girl decides to leave. Instead, it's just like, you keep it fun, you keep it moving. Shall we? Let's go. And yes, can you bounce from one venue to another in the evening? Yeah. And I used to do a lot of that, but again, I found eventually that it was just way more effective to just be in the one nice location for about an hour, and then try to extract. Sometimes the girl would say, hey, let's go to another place. Not that I would now, because I'm not going out for 3 drinks to 2 bars. But back in the day, she's like, hey, let's go somewhere. She had a suggestion, or let's keep going. Yeah, okay, maybe I'd bounce to another venue and continue for another 35, 40 minutes or whatever in a different venue, because there's a new energy. Now we've moved, and now there's a different vibe, so it kind of reignites the momentum. Yes, can do that. But you don't want to be in a situation where you're bar crawling and that you're 5-6 drinks in before someone sloppily goes, let's fucking get out of here. For many reasons, but primarily because I don't think it's a good idea for you to be having sex with wasted girls. Do I need to explain why? Yes. Because A, sex is shit when both people are drunk. Your mouths are dry and you bang your elbows into people's ribs. It's a mess. Did I do that back in the day when I was a dodgy rock musician? Yes, all the time. I'd get wasted, she'd get wasted, and we'd wake up and go, oh, what's your name? It's not very classy. So for that reason, but mainly because people's decision making is impaired when they're drunk, and people can forget what happened. People can black out and have short-term memory loss, and then you can find yourself in a situation with a girl who now doesn't think that she wanted to do what she did last night, or doesn't remember it, even worse, and you could find yourself in serious trouble. Having that kind of lifestyle means that you become an alcoholic. If you're going on multiple dates, you're always drinking to excess, and for guys, it becomes a buffer, right? It becomes a thing where, like, I need the confidence of feeling tipsy or drunk in order to be charismatic and fun. And so then you find it difficult to interact with women without alcohol or drugs. So definitely my recommendation for an evening date is, now whenever I do those, I have 1 drink because I'm a lightweight. So I'll have 1 glass of wine or 1 gin and tonic, and I just drink it really slowly. And I will let the girl, if she wants to, have 2 drinks. Okay, 2 cocktails. And look, 2 cocktails has 4 shots of alcohol in it, depending on what it is. And sure, someone can be quite tipsy after that, but they're still going to be able to make clear decisions, and they're not going to be tripping over and vomiting in the back of your car. So if I see a girl, because sometimes I've been on dates where a girl's just like ordering shot after shot, and I don't I don't think that's because she's trying to rip me off or get free drinks necessarily. It's because she's nervous and that's what she's used to doing on dates with a guy. And I've had instances where a girl's like ordered 4 shots and I say, hey, I think you should slow down. And she says, don't you tell me what to do. I'll do it. No, okay. If she wants to keep drinking, I'll say, hey, listen, I'm not a heavy drinker and I don't really want to hang out with you when you're totally wasted. And I've sent girls home and I've made sure they got home safe in that situation. It's pretty rare, but it usually happens when a girl's nervous about what's going on, or she's just a fucking pisshead, as we say in Australia. So 1 drink for me, the girl has one, and then I can see she's looking around. I say, did you want 1 more? And then after that, then I say, so I'll grab the check. Shall we get out of here? And I'll make sure that it ends, right? Now, there will be some guys who would say, well, okay, she's drinking. Keep staying in there because she's getting loose. I just don't think it's ethical. It's not safe, and it's not the kind of hookup that I want to have. You know, everyone makes their own decisions, but that's what I would say on that. And the final point I want to make is whatever date that you end up having, if you're going to have another date with a girl and you didn't sleep together on the first date, make sure that you don't repeat the same date, right? So if you went and had a coffee, especially at the same location, you went and had a coffee the first time, then don't go and meet her for a coffee the next time. I'm not saying you couldn't do something in the day. Yeah, you could. You could go for a bike ride. You could have a little picnic. You could, take a bottle of Prosecco to the park, whatever it is. But don't repeat the same one. Same thing at night is you don't want to take her out for a drink on the Thursday night and then take her out for a drink on the Sunday night. The reason being is that there is no, let's say, psychological progression of our relationship. If you vary the activity, it doesn't matter day or night, just vary the activity, it's that something has momentum, something is changing, we are going on an extended adventure together, right? So you have a coffee the first time, then sure, meet for a drink the next time. Or you meet for a drink the first time and you say, hey, actually, I'm going to be cooking some scones this Sunday. Do you want to come around and, have tea and scones? So that there is some progression, and then it builds a bank of memories that she has of being with you in multiple locations. She has the memory of you bowling up to her bravely on the street and charming the pants off her in your awesome day game approach. She has the memory of the texting. Okay, let's get through that as quick as possible. And the first instance in one location, and then the second instance in the second location. And that's most likely to lead to her building the trust rapport with you that's needed for her to decide if she wants to sleep with you or not. And one final thing is that the second date can possibly be at your place. This is not going to work all the time, and it's very rare that it would work for a first date, although I have done it occasionally where I've said something like, we've made a tentative arrangement for a date during the interaction. Say, hey, let's meet up tonight. And she said yes, and I said, cool, I'll text you later with the details. And I've usually done this when I'm just really tired and I was out coaching or something, and I text her and I say, hey, actually, I'm pretty wrecked today. Would you prefer to just come around to my place? We can have a drink at mine. I've done that when there was a really good vibe, when I got the sense that she really wanted to see me again. And it's just that I decided that I really didn't want to go out tonight and I would prefer to just take the risk on this and invite her straight over. Yes, it can work, but it can work very often for a second date, right? So she's built enough trust with you that she feels safe enough, and then saying, yeah, it's the Netflix and chill. Do you want to come around, have a glass of wine at my place? Before we go out, okay, maybe that's a thing. We're going out to do something. Let's meet at my place and we can head out afterwards. I'm cooking something, and cooking like sweets of some sort is a really good thing, because we're not sitting down to have a big meal together, but it's that I'm making cookies or scones. And if you don't know how to do that, look it up on the internet. It's fucking easy. It's just flour and eggs and butter going like that. Cooking's really easy and fun. Try it. We've been doing it for thousands of years. And girls love a guy in the kitchen. I saw something online with in one of the groups that I was in where guys were like, dudes should never cook. It's so beta. I'm like, so wrong. Women love watching dudes cook. Being able to actually feed her something, especially something sweet or comfort food, they fucking love it. And then they don't feel guilty. Like, it's because someone made it for them, then they're allowed to eat it, so they're not worried about counting their calories or whatever. Anyway, that's just my opinion as someone who enjoys cooking for people and has gotten laid off it many times. So yes, you can invite a girl over to your place to chill, watch something, cook something, drink something, and that will definitely work more easily in the afternoon than it will in the evening for the same reasons. I'm not going over to the dude's house at night to have sex with him. He's making an afternoon tea or a brunch. He's making French toast and on a Sunday. Right? He's cooking pancakes for him on a Sunday. I'll go around. Fuck yeah. And that's the sort of thing sometimes I would text girls like on the Sunday. Just say, hey, I'm about to make pancakes. Have you had breakfast yet? Come around. Right? That's can be an awesome way to get a girl into the seduction location, luring her in with the power of pancakes. All right, that's all I got time for today. Hope you enjoyed today's little impromptu chat from my farm in Portugal. Once again, if you want to learn how to get women on dates in the first place, I'm the best in the world at doing that. I've been doing this for fucking 15 years and I get results. I'm only doing a few workshops this year, so if you'd like to join myself, the amazing Shay Matthews, and other members of the TNL team for 4 days of running around the streets of Budapest, where we work fine-tuned, razor-sharp feedback whilst miking you up and listening in on your interactions as you go through dozens of approaches, each one exponentially improving your skills because you've got one of the world's best there going, now I see what you've done here, and then pulling it apart so that each approach leads to immediate improvements, plus role-playing classes, lifestyle design, meditation, state control, so much more. This is your full package for improving yourself as a man and learning the absolutely vital skill of being able to talk to strangers and leave powerful impressions on the women that you meet so that they want to meet you again, so you can put all of this into action. So if you'd like to find out more, you just need to click the link below. The next workshop is Budapest, Hungary, 27th till the 30th of June, coming up very soon. Whoops, and once again, what I meant to say was that it's actually from the 20th until the 23rd of June. I know what day my workshops are on. I don't look at my calendar all the time. There is only a couple of spots left. You can get on a completely free call where one of my coaches will discuss with you, basically answer any of your questions, seduction related, find out if this is the right fit for you, but get moving because these workshops do sell out. And that's all for today. We'll see you in the next video. James Marshall signing out. Peace.